Shri Pawan Duggal, Advocate, Supreme Court of India. Thank you, sir. Let's extend a warm welcome to our esteemed VC who will guide us through today's session, setting the tone for what promises to be an enlightening and productive gathering.
Good morning. Good morning. I expected this room to be much fuller because Epitome is all about the students of GSB who are the future of India. Right? This annual Technical Management Festival, yesterday we had a grand opening. We followed that by three very important technical sessions. One was on trends, technology trends for railways. Then second, resources for transportation and logistics sector. And we had an important session on transportation, security and sustainability. We had very distinguished speakers along with the technical sessions, and in between we had many student competitions. We are very thankful to RVNL, Airbus and Bank of Baroda for sponsoring. As we all know, today's session that we are about to begin is very important session on logistics, policy and management. We have luminaries from the field, the people who drafted the logistics policy, the people who are practicing on logistics policy day in, day out, people who are leaders in AI, cybersecurity, and the space that will transform the logistics. We have distinguished speakers here. Well, I just want to make only one remark about logistics. We have willfully kept it open-ended in the sense so that the speaker can touch upon a variety of areas in the logistics policy and management. Look at the challenges that we might have, how we can fulfill those gaps, the kind of expectations that a university, a dedicated university in transportation and logistics sector like GSV should take up. You will be very happy to know that in our administrative structure of the university, we have willfully kept two schools, the School of Technology and School of Management, that focuses on regular education programs across technology and management. For bachelor's level, now we will extend to master's and PhD this year onward. We have kept two centers, one for Center for Continuing and Executive Education, that is to train all the working professors in the field, and another center that is Center for Policy. Because if Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya is set up in the backdrop of PM Gati Shakti plan and national logistics policy, at every stage, being an industry-driven university, we must look at how India is progressing based on the policy that we have set up. Should there be any gaps? Should there be any challenges? Should there be any inputs needed? The university's intellectual fraternity must come forward. It must bring together ecosystem and give those kind of inputs. In summary, Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya is not only a place or just a college to impart some educational degrees. It must become a place where, besides imparting education, we create and assimilate new knowledge that can transform whole of India across the transportation and logistics sector. So we have willfully kept our goals and dreams to be a focal point in whole of the ecosystem. Before I conclude, just want to mention one thing. In my understanding, logistics is about doing so many things right. Maybe right form of transportation, to procuring right type of material, making it available in the right quantity, in the right form, doing everything right at the right time. So time is also important. We are 20-30 minutes late. Based on logistics, I think we are not inefficient. If we have to worry about bringing in logistics efficiency, everything we have to do has to be right and in right time. Thank you so much.
I request our Vice Chancellor, Sir, to felicitate Mr. Ketan Patel, President, OMIIA Consulting, Vadodara. To Shri Pavan Kumar Agarwal. Pavan Agarwal, sir, is currently the Distinguished Visiting Professor at Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya. As Special Secretary of Logistics in the Government of India, Shri Pavan Agarwal was instrumental in development of the country's logistics policy and the Gati Shakti Master Plan. His leadership as the CEO of the India's Food Safety and Standards Authority marked a period of significant transformation where he developed a co-regulating model for food safety, particularly beneficial for low and middle income countries. As an Indian Administrative Service officer from the 1985 batch of the West Bengal cadre, Shri Pawan Agarwal brings over 3 decades of governmental experience with a specialized focus on logistics and supply chain education, food, nutrition, and sustainable development, as well as higher education and skill development. His career is distinguished by a capacity to design and implement large-scale change initiatives with a keen emphasis on public affairs, strategy, and systematic information. Sir's academic credentials include a Bachelor of Engineering in Electrical Engineering, where he was awarded the University Gold Medal and first prize in All India Design Competition. Furthering his education, he was recognized as a Fulbright New Century Scholar at Harvard University and Emory University, reflecting his commitment to continuous learning and excellence. We welcome you, sir. I now request Pawan, sir, to come forward and share his insights and perspectives, introducing us to the world of his experiences.
Uh, Good morning, friends. Let me at the outset thank the respected Vice Chancellor of Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya for giving me this opportunity to be here with you this morning. Distinguished guests, speakers, faculty, young friends, as I'm basically speaking to you and we are basically sharing with you my own experience or living experience of formulating the national logistics policy and Gati Shakti master plan. You know, uh, when I joined as the special secretary in the logistics division in Ministry of Commerce and Industry on 1st of May 2020, and then for next almost 1.5 years continue to work in that capacity. And those were COVID times. And many of the colleagues that are here and that I'll basically share with you the genesis of it. And, and our own understanding of what could logistics policy achieve. But before I do so, I'm reminded of a few comments that the Honorable Prime Minister made when he was releasing the national logistics policy. And he said that in his 22 years of public service experience, right from his days as Chief Minister of Gujarat, you know, the national logistics policy was one such policy wherein he found most nuances and it was most complex. So policy which only deals with some peripheral issues and not the central issues of production and consumption be so nuanced and complex. The challenge with logistics is that whatever does not fall anywhere falls under logistics. If there is delay, 15 minutes delay, as Professor Chaudhary mentioned, it is a logistic challenge. If a government official stops some consignment for being released and it is delayed by a few days, that is a logistic challenge. So I think it encompasses a lot of things which are somewhat undefined. And you can understand that how complex can it be to formulate a policy on something that is not in the first instance defined. Okay. So one has to get a sense of what we are talking about. Okay. And obviously, simply put, it would mean maybe 3 or 4 things. Efficient transportation, because that is carrying goods from one place to another, that is at the heart of it. Maybe inventory management, and the issue of inventory management also underwent a little bit of uh, you know re-look at that time, wherein the concept of resilience came, that you cannot just have inventories, and at that time it was just in time inventory, that you only keep as much as you can sell or you can consume. But then you have to also take care of the rainy day. If there are disruptions in the supply chain, then how do we address those supply chain disruptions? The concept of resilience came in. So then it makes it slightly more difficult to get a handle around inventory management. Obviously, in transit warehousing, efficient warehousing, that becomes an important part. And obviously, it also would include handling of goods and cargo, for transporting from one mode of transport to another, from transport vehicles to warehousing and back, stuff like that. And this thing is this inventory management part of it, warehousing part of it, is less well understood in in the logistics, amongst the general public, that this also is part of and very important part of logistics. But what is even less well understood is that when you are carrying goods and cargo, there's a lot of documentation, there's a lot of information that flows, and there's also so that whole concept of documentation, information flow, and digitization of that, tracking and tracing of your cargo, that becomes the third important part of the logistics. And fourth and finally, capable and competent man to make all these first elements work, efficiently, effectively to deliver, you know, better logistics. But having said this, I would again reiterate that anything that does not fall anywhere comes under the definition of logistics. So, there are various kind of estimates, and all those estimates are floating around that what is the logistic cost in the country. Generally, it is said that in India, logistic costs are very high, 4 to 5% more than the rest of the world. And we took some of those numbers, and later on we abandoned those numbers because another organization in India came out with another set of numbers which said that we are already 8-9%. And there was a dilemma that we said that we are already comparable in logistic cost with the rest of the world. Then there'll be no incentive for our players to reduce that cost further. So we underplayed it and said, all right, we will make our cost, logistic cost, comparable to the rest of the world and leave it at that. But let me go a step backwards. The logistics division is not something that existed in the government for all time. It was established, in 2017. And when it was established, the primary motive for that was around EXIM logistics, export import logistics. And the reason for uh, you know export and import logistics, import of goods, and in a highly competitive marketplace, global marketplace, the logistic costs along with taxation obviously can play a very important role whether India will use that as forever. And therefore, a big focus to enhance countries' export competitiveness. It was important to build the logistics. So much of when the logistics division was set up, much of our focus was on, exit logistics. Basically at the ports, but most of our goods are, traded through the shipping lines. But in that now, we also recognize that uh, but then the cost of transporting those goods and cargo from where it is manufactured to the port, and if that is inefficient, it adds to the logistic cost. So therefore, you cannot talk about exit there are opportunities to increase competitiveness of the industry by also equally or even more focusing on domestic logistics. And that's the concept of domestic. Another element of that in some sectors, like fertilizer, coal, power, you know, the cost of transportation, the cost of logistics is very significant part of the overall cost. And therefore, making those logistic costs reduce was another objective. So when we were looking at all the gamut of activities that we need to address in the logistics policy, somewhat very being defined, for 1.5 years, we had the hundreds of meetings with different stakeholders that we sense out to be required of them. And as Dr. Shakti in the opening remarks mentioned, that logistics is about getting lots of things done together, right? So it is not about one thing. And all this one, you know, uh, complex policy. It's not that government is going to make an investment of 200,000 crore on development and construction, and that becomes the beginning bank of the policy. And I still remember the last for the intent. So it will all depend on how it is actually put in action. So policy plus performance will be that we are moving in the right direction. Before I come to a few key elements of the policy, uh, where we have to be, uh, World Bank used to do ranking of countries by correspondent policy of industries. The logistics policy says that we should, we were around 44 in the LPI index out of 139 countries. We are in 2018 we were 44. Our policy objective was that for the next few years, by 2030, India should reach within 25. Now, in 2023, India had already moved up by 6 points in the logistics performance index. And if you look at where we have improved, were largely on use of digitization, track and trace, of goods and cargo. That improved significantly. Obviously, there has been improvement in, transportation, efficiency of transportation, etc. All of us can see what rapid improvements have been made in road infrastructure, rail infrastructure across the country. but the advantages of that takes a little while to flow. But a biggest advantage was that in the MPI, track and trace had a lot of weightage, and in that we made tremendous improvement. And I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that in by 2030, not only will be within first 25, we can be in first 10, which makes India's export competitiveness something that we did not bother about logistics is concerned. But of course, there is scope for improvement in that. Now, I will come to, when we are looking at various aspects of the policy, that where the action is required. So we identified 8 buckets essentially. And I will just briefly mention those buckets without going into details of it. First, and as in continuation of what I was saying, that developing an integrated digital logistics ecosystem, and which has several parts, which is unified logistics platform, which is ILOG, and a lot of stuff, which improves tracking, tracing of the cargo and brings more confidence. The third element I mentioned, documentation flow. India is already, I think, in terms of payment infrastructure, digital payment infrastructure, India's digital payment infrastructure is already one of the best. So I think by integrating all of this, how do we reach excellence in digital transformation of our logistics space? That is the first item or first bucket under the logistics policy. Second area, which personally I did not give too much of importance to, but which is very important in logistics, is standardization. Standardization is so important of physical assets, benchmarking of service quality standards. So these were the issues that come under the second buckets, which is standardization of physical assets, benchmarking, etc. Third bucket is the human resources, wherein, of course, Gati, Shakti, Vishwavidyalaya plays an important role. And we do hope that moving forward, it will take the leadership position in developing the HRD capacity for the country for transportation and logistics. Fourth is the state government. So, this country, a lot of action is with the states. So, or even with the cities. So, how do we do a more integrated planning and development and look at logistic issues comprehensively at the state level, at the city level? That is the fourth part of it, through a system of grading, rating, certification, and excellence of logistic assets. Exim logistics, obviously, we touched upon it. This is yet another, and there are a lot of areas for improvement in exim logistics. Sixth area, and this is an area I'm sure some of my colleagues in this panel will touch upon, that despite all the improvements that we see in the logistics space, the role of the government is somewhat minimal. In say roads, we are, government is only owner of maybe the physical assets. The fleet management, everything else is done by the private sector. Railway is unique that here we also have significant control over the rolling stock and the goods transportation, apart from owning the physical infrastructure in terms of rail lines. But in most of the spaces, that is largely in the private sector. And there, the challenge is that the businesses will face problems when they are, when they are from one place to another. So, how do we ensure that there are efficient service level agreements between different players and they are adhered? So, this was the another part of it, that how do we ensure the service improvement framework, etc. Second area was that I mentioned about a few sectors like steel, coal. They require as a part of their own sectoral strategy, a strong focus on logistics. Only yesterday, I think Ministry of Coal released their sectoral plan for coal logistics, which in some sense is an implementation of the national logistics policy. I'm sure other ministries and departments where logistics play a very key role, they are at it, and they will also be releasing similar documents on this. And finally, we spoke about warehousing, a lot of warehousing and a lot of storage and mode shift from one mode to another happens in what are called as logistic parks. And I think a framework for setting up those logistic parks and large logistic parks in the country was the last point. So with these, of course, as you can see that even these 8 elements do not perhaps cover everything. There may be some areas which are not falling within them, but they broadly cover a range of issues that will be covered under the national logistics policy. The policy provides for what is expected to be done in each of those areas, which particular agencies will be working in these areas, and then what could be the roadmap to achieve that. That is what the policy is all about. This national logistics policy, along with Gati Shakti Master Plan, and Shakti Master Plan, just a minute on there. Gati Shakti Master Plan is that how do we develop our infrastructure, the transportation infrastructure in a manner that it is integrated, it is multimodal. And that came up, that was earlier part of the national logistics policy, but the Honorable Prime Minister felt that that is the starting point. Unless we have transport infrastructure which is planned in an integrated manner using digital technologies and mapping, rest of it will not fall in place. So therefore, Gati Shakti Master Plan was released much before the national logistics policy. And Gati Shakti Master Plan, the National Logistics Policy, and I would say Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya, they are the triumph of initiatives that have been taken by the government of India to improve the logistics.
Thank you, Pawan sir. Your insights, wisdom, and keen perspectives on logistics truly enriched our learning and made it an unforgettable experience for our audience. Thank you once again, sir, for sharing your time and expertise with us. We hope to have the pleasure of hosting you in the future. Now, we want to extend our sincerest gratitude to Shri Sameer J. Shahji for gracing us with his presence on our annual Tech-Fest EPITOME 24. Owner of JVS Group of Companies, having over 40 years of expertise in logistics, Sameerji has done his CBM from University of Bombay and has a special diploma in international freight forwarding from Austria. He has done a senior management program on strategic port management from IIM Ahmedabad and also is a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, recognized globally with awards from esteemed organizations like the World Customs Organization and CILT India. He is the prolific author and speaker in international forums such as UNC TAD and FIATA. He has established logistics education center across Gujarat, solidifying his reputation as a visionary leader and philanthropist, shaping the future of logistics and supply chain management. We now welcome Sameer sir on the stage to enlighten us with his freedom, wisdom, and experiences that he acquired over his 40 plus years of life.
Thank you, Tanmay. That was very kind of you. Epitome is a perfect example, and I think my compliments to the Vice Chancellor and his team for having selected this word for this conference. And while I share his sentiments that we could have had a fuller house, but the effort can be seen, and the way it has been organized. Thank you very much, GSV. Thank you, sir, for having organized this. I'd also like to thank all the participants who are here, because whenever you attend events like this, I'm sure you will gain so much, and you will also learn what to give up. And you should make the best of all these opportunities that are available to you. And also my congratulations for having joined a very wonderful sector. Logistics, transportation, supply chain, material management. We've been using various terms in India over the last 40 years. But at the end of the whole thing, we are all in a fantastic industry, in a great field, and with due respect to the lawyers and the doctors and the chartered accountants who can afford to say, मैंने तो जो होता मैंने कर लिया, अभी देखते हैं जज क्या बोलते हैं, अभी देखते हैं भगवान क्या करते हैं, आप प्रार्थना कीजिए, मैंने तो सब कुछ कर लिया. But for a logistician can never say that. We are the only 100% industry, we have to deliver. The only thing somebody might permit us is a slight delay, but not delivering is not an option for any of us. And that is what makes us very special. And that is what we need to recognize, that we are in a segment which is genuinely very different, very individual, and you can all make a great career over here. Another thing which is always asked is, logistics naya hai kya? I don't think logistics is new. We have to recognize that whenever I picked up an item for somebody else and I walked even 10 paces, that was the beginning of logistics. So even if you compare it to the invention of the wheel, we are so old. So, but the sad part is that society doesn't recognize us. You know, I mean, so many parents, I talk at so many colleges, at so many events, and it's so sad that for general industry, I mean, general society, logistics doesn't come in the first 20. But they don't realize that without us, they won't get anything. They won't get their milk, they won't get their food, they won't get their clothes, they won't get anything. And I often ask students, I said, does it ever occur to you that how did the vegetable come on the cart just outside your house? And that is logistics for you. And that's how we've all lived all our lives, you know. The topic for today was logistic policy and management. And before the logistic policy, we had the Logistic Sector Skill Council. I worked on the board for a number of years, and when we started debating, we said, before we do anything else, let us define logistics. Now, to get a definition of logistics is very difficult. There are international definitions, internationally accepted definitions, and the Vice Chancellor put it very correctly by using the word right. The right goods at the right time, at the right place, to the right consumer, in the right price, at the right time. So you keep on putting lots of rights. But then India is a very complex country. And we said, how do we classify logistics? So we worked hard through, and we came out with 11 verticals to start with. And then we realized that rail was something we had forgotten, because rail was always associated with the government and the rest was associated with the private sector or the joint sector, public and private. So now we have 12 verticals. These 12 verticals, what have they done? While they started off with skilling and education, I think we will now have a structure. We'll have a structure. Sir also, Pawan sir spoke about exim logistics. You know, I think there's so much stress on exim logistics. I am an exim logistician, so it makes me happy that we get so much attention. But we are forgetting the balance 11. And it's unless we can balance out all the 11, I mean, all the 12 verticals, we won't be doing justice to the logistics sector. While all of this started with skilling, you know, the Logistics Sector Skills Council started with skilling, that how do we classify logistics, how do we find the job roles, what type of skills do we give them, and how do we do it? But then we also realized that it was something which will help the logistics sector in a great way. And then comes policy. For a policy, you always need a sponsor. Somebody has to sponsor the policy. And the government of India took years to have what is called a logistic division. Because whenever we had a problem in EXIM logistics, if we went to customs, it's our Ministry of Finance, you talk to me only for the custom portion. You want to talk about ports, you go to that ministry. You want to talk about rail, you go to them. You want to talk about surface transport, you go to them. I remember meeting the industries minister in Gandhinagar when we were having a lot of problems with Central Warehousing Corporation run ICD. And he was like, "Ab mere paas kyun aaye? I have no role to play. I have no role to play in EXIM logistics, so please don't come to me." Now, why? So first thing was to get a sponsor. But we must also recognize that Bihar, if I'm not making a mistake, Gujarat, they all came out with their logistic policies in 2006, 2007, 2008. While they were very warehouse centric, but they did use the word logistic policy. They did have that. And it's only after the central government could form a department of logistics that the whole thing started gaining momentum. And we're all looking forward to a stage in India which might hurt a lot of bureaucrats and politicians is when we have a logistic ministry. And we don't have surface transport, we don't have railways, we don't have DGCA, we don't have DG shipping. We just have a parent logistic industry, ministry who can then string everyone together, who can keep everyone together, and that's when I think we'll see the major jump and speed coming in this industry. But all the same, it was a great initiative to set up the logistic division. And as Pawan sir said, we must have spent more than 300 hours debating on the NLP before it was announced. And to the credit of the government, this was one of the first times that I saw that the department went across the country. I've attended their meetings in Calcutta, in Vizag, in Ahmedabad, in Bombay, in Delhi. I've never seen a policy being coming out after so much public debate. It's a wonderful document, and it did make a lot of sense to all of us who have been in this sector for a very long time. But then what happened after that? We today have 18 state level policies. I had my students at the Gujarat Maritime University prepare a comparative statement where we put the national logistic policy at one side and we put all the 18 at the other in the vertical manner in which the policy was designed by the NLP has been designed. And what do you find? You find that it's still in a state of confusion. There, you don't find the linkage. Like sir already put it very nicely, Pawanji, that the states are a very important player, but then we have a federal structure. Everyone has his own ownership, everyone has his own way of working, everyone has their own way of thinking about it. Some of the states have gone way beyond the NLP, but the majority have done it just to satisfy that, okay, we also have a logistic policy. It's not that I'm saying this here, I've written it and given to many governments that what's the point of having a policy if you're not going to go into all the nuances and into the depth of the whole thing in trying to understand your state, understanding the requirements of your state, and then coming out. You know, you just can't take the national policy, pick up a few things that you like, which sound very sexy and inviting, and put them and come out with a new paper. But then at least there's been a beginning. That is very important because once a paper comes out or a policy comes out, then it's open for debate, it's open for submission of other details, and then it all works out. Why do we have this problem? I think we have this problem because we recognize logistics separately very late. And the constitution concurrent list doesn't use the word logistics. So there's no real structure that we are having, and I think it's going to be a challenge for all of us, the academicians and the bureaucrats, to ensure that somewhere we find a semblance in this big confusing world of logistics that we are having. You know, when you look at the state policies, what do you find? as Pawanji mentioned, there's a lot of stress on exim. Exim, even in states which don't have international gateways. I don't know how you will lay stress on exim logistics in a policy when a state doesn't have a gateway. The stress there should have been on international business. The stress should have been on how do we market our products, how do we grow our products, how do we sell our products, and that would not have been part of the logistic policy because logistics is still talking about movement of cargo. The biggest thing which I found missing, and I've discussed this with a number of people, including the Commerce Minister and the Finance Minister, is that the word outreach is not there in the policy. If there is no outreach, if the government doesn't have funds for outreach, if the government doesn't have a program on outreach, how will we make this sector popular? How will we get more and more players to start coming and working in this sector? Often people come and say that logistics has a problem of skilled manpower. Being a person in the logistics sector for so many years, we don't have a problem of skilled manpower. We have a problem of manpower. If I have people, I can skill them. We are not getting people to work in the logistics sector. We are getting so many MBAs and all coming out saying we want to work, but that's not the logistics sector. The logistics sector starts right at the bottom of the pyramid. And we need so many people at that level. So the biggest problem in this sector, according to me, which we will have to tackle in the coming years, is getting people to work for the logistics sector. And we are a sector which takes people after 12th standard. So, and we need so many people at the bottom of the pyramid. So that is going to be one of our biggest challenges. And I think we need to recognize that the policies in India are unfortunately not targeting outreach. We have a lot of people who were here in the 80s and the 90s. We had such a wonderful program on the diamonds on the television. Then we had that egg campaign, Har Sunday, Kanda, and things like that, and it became so popular. That is what we think we should be doing. Another thing is when you see the policies, we are talking about skilling and capacity building. But how are the states going to do skilling and capacity building? GSV, wonderful example, wonderful change, great institution, but it can cater to what? It can cater to 100 people a year, 120 people a year. We don't need 100, 120 people. We need logistics as a subject to be introduced in the schools. We need logistics as a topic of orientation to be done in the 12th standard to let people know what is logistics. We are all living in an era of GST, so everybody now knows that there is a GST number. But what goes behind the GST number is the international HSN. And Government of India has mandated that every possible regulator in India has to start using the HSN. So we have the CTH, we have the RITC, we have the GSTH, everything. I was very surprised that in Europe, they teach HSN to 14-year-olds. It's just a 45-minute session, which is mandatorily done for 12 or 12 to 14-year-olds, where they teach them what is HSN. So people understand classification. People understand that when by the time you are 15 or 16, you are introduced to modes of transport. You are introduced to what is multimodal. You may be a science student, you may be a humanities student, but you have to be exposed to this. Now, this is where I find that the policy should work on these areas. We should be able to mandate these areas, which is a problem presently. And of course, careers for all of you. You are going to live in one of the best years of India. Makes us jealous. I'm sure it makes all of us in the first row jealous that we should have been born 20 years later. If we had been 20 years younger, we get much more benefit out of the fantastic times that India is going to enjoy over the next 5 or 6 decades. So my good wishes to all of you for your future. Another area which both the speakers before me touched upon is servicing. We need to recognize that logistics is not infrastructure only. Logistics is not connectivity only, it's not taxation only, it's servicing. And without a good service sector, the logistic will not give the benefit to the users that it is needed to be given. And servicing is one area which we should look at, and all of you should also be looking at, that how can I join the service sector? How can I be a logistician who is servicing logistics, And that also is something which we have presented both to the central government and many of the state governments, that you should have used this word more prominently in the policy. You should have thought and kept on hitting on this word. So these were, of course, a few of my opinions, maybe a bit harsh, but I'm very positive about everything on the logistic policy and the way the logistic policies are being designed and developed in India. But I'm very positive about this segment. I'm very positive about what we are going to achieve, what all other things we need to do. We need to first recognize collectively that we are a frontline industry. We are not a support industry. I've had so many politicians, so many ministers at the state level. When we were working, Gujarat was not the first who came out with the logistic policy. I remember having a meeting with the industries minister in the presence of the then CM and the present PM, when he made a statement that logistics cannot be an industry. This was as recent as 15 years back. He said logistics can't be an industry. Those chemical people will do their logistics, engineering people will do their logistics, somebody else will do their logistics. Now, from there to come to a stage where the governments are recognizing the word logistics, the government have a department. Hopefully, the states will start having logistic departments. At some point in time, we may have a logistic ministry. So we've come a long way. But how did we come to this way? We came this way because there were so many people, including the people sitting in this room, who recognized that yes, we are primarily a self-help industry. We have to help ourselves. We have to develop ourselves. We can't be sitting idle and saying that government will develop it for us. We have to do it on our own, and like the involvement of the government is necessary, but I think this industry should recognize that your job is to facilitate, your job is to regulate. Please don't interfere, please don't get into the operational issues. Ensure that we remain compliant, because when, especially with so much thrust on EXIM, we are talking sovereignty, we are talking compliance, we are talking so many other things. So you must be a regulator, but stay out of the working of the whole thing. Don't get involved in the working. Create a platform and leave it for us to work on it, which I'm sure the governments have recognized and they're doing, and I'm sure we'll do very well on that. And lastly, one area which all of us have to recognize, and that remains standards and certification. India is very much behind on standards. Now if we are not very good on standards, I don't see how we will be able to multiply it very quickly. If we need to multiply it, we must have a model which can be replicated everywhere. Simple things like a platform height, a simple thing like a loading gear. We don't have that. And then comes all the infrastructure. I was recently working on a project, and we noticed that one of the bridges was 2 centimeters less in height than what was shown in the papers. And that involved a cost of nearly 30 lakhs of rupees to them, because they just couldn't go below the bridge. It was only 2 centimeters and nobody was prepared to take the risk. So now here we had an issue where it was designed correctly, but it was not monitored correctly. It was not executed correctly. So these are a few of my thoughts on the policy. I thank the Vice Chancellor for saying that I'm not going to give you all a brief. You please come and share whatever you want to share on whatever you felt is your view on the policy and the logistic management. Once again, to all of you, my very best wishes. I think you all are going to work in a great industry, and I'm sure you'll find it very interesting, which all like all of us who have been in this sector are finding it. It's going to give you so much opportunity to interact with different people, cross cultural movements, cross country movements. It's a fantastic place. It's going to be a place where you're going to have a daily challenge, and you will have to customize every challenge and deliver it in less than the time in which your client is going to give you or the situation is going to give you. So innovation and your ability to readapt continuously is what is going to help you all. You all are also the Google generation. So, but I would genuinely request you, please use the search engines, please read the definitions, please keep on doing that, because unless we are in a position to define something correctly, we won't understand it correctly. Otherwise you go, yeah, this is what I feel, but whereas it may not be there. To just give you an example, the word export. The word export is defined differently in DGFT, in GST, in customs, in drawback, in every possible way. So when somebody uses the word export, one has to, so first question we ask is, whom are you talking about? Are you talking about, are you talking about Director General of Foreign Trade? Are you talking about GST? What are you talking about? So unless you recognize that definitions is a very important thing, and what I notice is that once we leave school, we leave definitions on the side and believe that we know everything. So that's another area which I'd like to call upon all of you to think about. With this, thank you once again to GSV, to the Vice Chancellor, and to all of you, and my very best wishes. Thank you.
That was truly fascinating. Thank you, Samir sir, for sharing your expertise with us today. Your knowledge and passion were truly inspiring. We are all grateful for the opportunity to learn from you. I can already feel the anticipation building for our next speaker. Let's extend a warm welcome to Sri Jatin Malavia, Managing Director of Kin Lines and Logistics Private Limited. He has done his Masters of Business Administration in Supply Chain Management from ITM University. He has more than 28 years of experience in the shipping industry. He has been working as a visiting faculty in different institutes in Mumbai and other cities. He has expertise in various fields like freight forwarding, international marketing, pricing, and developing agency networks. We welcome you, sir. Now, I request you to come up and give your insights and perspectives based on your expertise.
Good morning. First of all, thank you very much, Mr. Manoj Chaudhary, who has given me this opportunity to talk about share my experience, because I'm from the logistics industry. Myself, Jatin Malavya, and I'm completing 34 years of my experience with shipping industry, where I work with the break bulk, liquefied cargo, dry, containerized cargo. Then I learned the CHA part little bit, joined the NUSCC, worked with the mainline operators, and in 2009 I started my company, Steel Lines Private Limited. It's running since last 15 years. 15 years. This company is running successfully under me. See, regarding the maximum point, has been, it's like somewhat some matching, but I would like to tell about logistics, policy, and management. So, can you scroll the slide or uh, uh, this? Oh, see, uh, logistics is starting, costing is very much important. That I'm talking about between the, I'm going to give the relation between the exporters, importers, and logistics. So, if you don't know the costings, what will be the freight? Not the domestic, even international. Then other operational costs, that is very important. Then second is coming documentation part. Documentation part in a way of start from exporters like invoicing, packing list, then they will provide uh, other like letter of credit. Any of the student or any of the logistics service providers should know about this the documentation and what kind of the documentation is required to passing that document through the custom. Of course, customs will be always there. They are watching it. What kind of the pricing you are finalizing between one country and another country from the buyer side. The whole documentation knowledge is very much important. Warehousing, yes. See, when we are talking about the warehousing and when we are talking about the goods, what I'm finding that commodity knowledge is very less. Which industry are you are representing? For example, it may be a steel, it may be a plastic, it may be a chemicals. Chemicals can be hazardous and non-hazardous. There are the various things in that particular commodity. Then what kind of the packing is required? Once you know the commodity, then what kind of the packing? It may be a food grade pharmaceuticals item. It may be in a break bulk, it may be in LCL, it may be going in FCL, or it is going in a ISO tank containers. Where the ISO tank containers is a liquefied carb. What sometime I am also facing the that problem that is relating the as a logistic service provider is not providing the vessel. Vessel is providing by the mainline operator or feeder operator. When we are sending the document for the passing for the hazardous cargo, we need to take the approvals. For ISO tank, they are asking IIP certificate. For the ISO tank liquefied cargo, IIP is not required. And repeatedly, we have to ask those people. I will come down the certain point where we are missing over here some hurdles is also with the mainline operators. Mainline operators like Merck's, CMSCGM, MSC, One Line, these all are the mainline operators. They are having their own vessels, they are providing their own equipment. Where there is the problem is as a logistic service provider, when we are approaching them for the approvals, that is also got delayed. Sometimes charges are little bit in a higher side. We are also facing some problems like especially in exchange rate between US dollar and rupees. When we are checking on the line with the RBI guidelines with our bank, and when we are checking the exchange rate from the main line is always coming different 1 rupees to 150 rupees. This I have lot of complaint from the exporters and manufacturers. Why? Because manufacturers and exporters, they are the main base of the country or the any of the country. And we have to understand their needs. Always they account people, always shouting on us, and they are doubting on the logistics industry. As Mr. Sangeet Sir very well said, very well freight, that we are not, coming into the notice. When we are talking with the shipping company, why the exchange rate is so high, they are providing the bank certificate. Similarly, we are forwarding to the our client to just give as a evidently proof that we are not charging any addition. You are asking what is why you are talking about 1 rupees or 1.5. For example, from Navashima to Mindanao, Mexico, the freight is a 4,000 dollars. In a COVID time, this freight is climb up somewhere around 10 to 11,000 dollars. When we are giving the invoicing to our exporters, obviously being the logistics service provider, we will give our margin. But $11,000 with the difference of the 1 rupees, you can calculate immediately that what will be the difference. This is also one kind of the problems we are facing. And when we are approaching to the shipping company, we don't have any answer for that. Sometimes it's delay, maybe delay for the obtain of the bill of lading and all. On this particular part, they are putting some additional charge. And for that, we don't have the control. It's not a policy only in relation with the government, but the government is not provided. Nowadays, one thing is what I learned in my last Bhopal visit, where I came to know from the one of the very legend person. Okay, now logistics world is started recognizing because of the honorable Prime Minister is taking an initiative on this, and that program was for India is paying 14% higher than other logistics cost compared to the overseas countries. 14% higher. Where behind this 14%, my point was that over the freight, earlier there were no any taxes. So why this GST is implemented 5% on the freight, export as well as import. So this is also one of the problems which should take into the notice, and if they remove the 5%, we can very well reduce some logistics cost. Another proceeding ahead, I was talking about the commodity part. Yes, equipment knowledge is very much important. Equipment knowledge, it's not in a no only that brake bulb or a bulk cargo. There are the different equipments like 20 feet, 40 feet, 45 feet, open top, the cargo height is more than 10 or 9.5. Then you require the open top. Then you require the freight. If it is a vegetable or fruit or some kind of pharmaceutical goods, you require the refrigerated containers. Talking about the chemicals, any chemicals can be the hazardous. Where the problem is when we are hiring any transporters. Transporters are having the drivers, but the drivers is not, qualified. It's hardly 10 or he is not aware what kind of cargo he is carrying, what kind of the hazardous material is going. That cargo, like sulfuric acid or phosphorus trichloride, oxychloride, so many hazardous cargo. Especially, I'm talking about we are expert over the ISO tank container. So transporters is also not bothered. Sometimes even I'm very sorry to say that even exporters is also not bothered. So this point is also very much important to talk with the manufacturer, exporters, and transporter as well. And also we require to invite logistics service provider also. See, operation cannot be considered domestic. It is internationally. Internationally means from India to overseas. This could be a cargo for the Dubai, could be a cargo for the Korea, could be a cargo for the Netherlands, could be a cargo for the USA, could be a cargo for the USA East Coast, like New York North Coast, West Coast, Los Angeles, any part into the world. See, only having the knowledge about Indian region will be not going to feed. We also require the knowledge about overseas countries. For example, in India, we may accept 24, 25, 28 cargo, but when you are going to a country like in a Korea, there are restrictions. So if we don't have this knowledge, logistics service provider or the person who is studying the logistics or the person who is uh, working, he is going to put their organization in a big trouble. Not no one MLOs is going to inform you about that. The moment the consignment is reaches over there, on that particular time, your logistics service provider or the MLOs will tell you, okay, we are not going to accept this cargo or this container will not move because you put some highway and we are having some restrictions in a country. So that is very much important. Geographical knowledge. Geographical knowledge is not in a relation. Okay, in India everyone is aware about it, but what about the what kind of the transit ticket you are going to provide? How this cargo will on what mode it is moving. It's going to move in a LCL, that means less than container load, or it's going in a full container, or it is going in a break bulk, or it is going by air. So that knowledge is very much important. From where to where? Overseas country like say developed country like USA and Netherlands. Now they are asking to provide experts. They don't want any kind of the trouble in a way of documentation. So when it comes to you on that particular time, you should have the knowledge from where it will start. For example, it is starting from the Pune. The Pune nearby port. Nearby port is the Nava Sheva. From Nava Sheva, it is going to the, for example, it's going to the London. London, there is another destination. So it's a complete logistics service provider should know the geographical knowledge. Time to time information. See, this is a very important role. See, time to time information, I would like to mention again about the main line. The problem is what we are facing is when we are calling. See, exporter is not going to call directly to the any mainline operator. They are always going to the logistics service provider because mainline operator is never give the any credit. So only the logistics service provider is giving the credit. In this case, when approaching to the mainline operator, there is another challenge. Sending to the mail, we will not receive the mail immediately, or we are calling them, they will not receive the call, or sometime it's very close relation, or we approach to the some higher authorities, then we are receiving the calls. This is also problem with the mainline operator, and mainline operators is very few. Earlier, there were some 3 or 4 lines, but they already merged. Now, the main line is hardly, according to me, not more than 14 or 15. And NUCC, that means non-vessel operating container carrier or the feeder operator, they are this way. So, time to time information, if I am not getting the information time to time, then definitely there will be the problem where I will not able to give my information to the my client or my or whoever it is. Maybe a provider, the both sides, whether it's a exporter or a we are here to provide the service. And logistics service industry is going to be a very boom industry, not in Indian level, it is the international level. Because logistics person is only there who is responding time to time, 24 by 7. We never mind if my client is calling 10:30, 11:30, Saturday, Sunday, or in a holiday. We have to attend the call. We have to uh, receive their mail. We have to reply them. If we are having the holiday in India and overseas is working, we have to provide the information. Just 4 or 5 days before, my one of the Manjari tank is just arrived in a Vivo. Then it was a Saturday. And Friday night, my client received the mail, okay, we returned this tank container to the Mexico. I was just in the night time, I prepare one mail to the my client. This tank so and so number is received, and we are planning on so and so this, and this is going to come in May. So, time to time information, this is a very, very important part. Quality control. Quality control in a way of how you are stuffing the car, how it is coming. If it is coming from the warehouses, exporters responsible for the pay, and he has to provide complete documentation, and he will guide us in a complete about the car. Logistics service provider may logistics service provider may not be aware about, but I'm very sorry, okay, I will go fast. So logistics service provider may not be aware, but exporter should provide that. So in a, I will conclude. Last, I would like to tell about the one more point, then I will conclude. The problem, another problem, biggest problem which we are facing is a remittances problem. When we are exporting the goods from here to any overseas country, for the exporter does not have a problem, but the logistics service provider is having the problem because there are a lot of documentations. Without remittances, logistics service provider will not able to survive. So this point should be considered. This is a big challenge because we are approaching to the chartered accountant. Chartered accountant is providing their NOC. Then we have to approach to the income tax department. Sometimes bank is also rejecting, and nowadays the remittance part is that it's a, all the policies is too much time. It's a very much difficult. So this could be considered. So I'm just concluding here, short of time, and thank you very much, and thank you for your patience. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jatin sir, for sharing your knowledge and insights with us today. Your talk was incredibly engaging and informative. Now, let us all welcome our next speaker, Dr. Pawan Duggal ji. Dr. Pawan Duggal is a renowned expert in cyber law, cybercrime law, cybersecurity law, artificial intelligence law, and e-commerce law. He is an he is an advocate in the Honorable Supreme Court of India. Dr. Pawan Duggal is the founder and chairman of International Commission on Cybersecurity Law. He is also the president of cyberlaws.net. He is recognized as a top cyber leader, lawyer globally. Google Bard lists Dr. Pawan Duggal as the top most cyber lawyer in the world. He is an advisor to Defense Cyber Agency, Ministry of Defense, Government of India, and member of various international committees and panels on cybersecurity and law. He is also heading the Artificial Intelligence Law Hub and Blockchain Law Epicenter. He is the founder cum honorary chancellor of Cyber Law University. Dr. Duggal has been a member of the Public Interest Registries.org Advisory Council. He is a member of ICT Policy and Governance Working Group of the United Nations Informative and Communication Technologies Task Force. He is the legal and policy consultant to Internet Mark II project, which is examining the next level of Internet. He has been associated with the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology, Government of India on cyber law and field, cyber law and electronic governance legal issues, and is a member of advisory committee on e-governance in Karnataka constituted by the government of Karnataka. Dr. Duggal authored 199 books on cyber law and related. Dr. Duggal have been conferred various awards by Book Authority in various categories over a couple of years. In addition, he has been conferred with various awards, including Council of Europe Economic Crime Division. We welcome you, sir. Now, I invite you on the stage to enlighten us with the knowledge and wisdom you have gained through your experiences.
Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, distinguished personalities, ladies and gentlemen. For my student friends, how many of you are not using ChatGPT? Please raise your hands. That's a funny question, right? Everybody is using ChatGPT. So when I was coming from the airport, I was asking my student coordinator as to, do you use ChatGPT for your projects? And he said, sir, we use it only for inspiration. Like to do our own work. That's fantastic stuff. So I thought I'd like to bring on the table what I see on the horizon from the cyber legal perspectives of logistics and management. And I thought what I saw, I'd like to share that with you because most of the time we don't normally talk about the cyber legal ramifications pertaining to logistics and management. Let's look at this. It says more logistic interconnectivity has increased the risk of cyber attacks. Nobody connects logistics with cyber. But then, please understand, everything that we're doing in logistics on data and information is ultimately in electronic form. This particular story tells us that in the UK, there's a logistics firm. It got hit by a massive ransomware attack. And consequently, it's gone ahead and filed for insolvency. And it's actually blaming the ransomware attack for insolvency. Here in this case, we have yet another similar kind of a case where once you get hit, your data gets gone, you have no choices but to go ahead and go for insolvency. So that can actually mean the end of the curtains as far as the logistics are concerned. But look at this landscape. Globally, I find cyber crimes growing at a phenomenal pace. There's hardly any entity that's not yet been impacted by cyber crimes. And India has already emerged as one of the top 3 targets in terms of nation states on cyber attacks. We are in India, so when I'm talking about logistics in India, you cannot be divorcing logistics without looking at this new threat on cyber attacks. The alarm bells are ringing. Why? Because cybercrime is everywhere. It's hitting you and me as individuals. It's hitting ecosystem, stakeholders, and almost every entity that's available in the domain. Last year, 2022, we lost 2023, we lost $6 billion. And by the end of 2024, we should be losing more than $8 trillion to cybercrime and cybersecurity issues. That's all. Nothing much. Much more than the GDP of countries like Pakistan. You have to realize that we have now come post 19, COVID-19 into new space. This is the golden age of cybercrime has already got launched. And this golden age is going to be continued for the next many, many decades. thought that you had switched off your phone, and it continues to ring at the appropriate time. So bottom line is, when I'm talking about logistics today, we have to be mindful that we are increasingly using the digital format in logistics for generating, sharing, retaining data, transmitting information. So, to a large extent, apart from the physical world issues, logistics is increasingly getting dependent on cyber issues and nuances. Ultimately, let's realize it. We are all data entities, individuals and organizations. We are generating data on a 24 by 7 basis. And this is the new data economy age, where the data is rewarded. So logistics cannot be divorced from data and the cyber ramifications pertaining to data. So globally speaking, good news, there's no international cyber law in place. So is that to celebrate or is it to point to why? Well, United Nations said, I'm going to give you a United Nations model law on electronic commerce, 1997, almost about 27 years back. You guys come up with national laws. So countries started coming up with national laws. India was not far behind. In the year 2000, we came up with the Indian Cyber Law, which is the Information Technology Act. Now you will say, I need logistics, management. Why do I need to know about this law? Wonderful question. The reality is, this is the only law in the country that's been passed for the electronic format. So in India, if you're using any of the 7 raw materials, that is, if you use computers, computer systems, computer networks, computer resources, communication devices, as also data and information in the electronic form, you get covered in this. So don't tell me that I will be logistics students and I don't want to know about this. Whether you like to know about it or not, you will have to better know about it, because your clients are going to ask you questions for which you must have answers. Why? Because this law has suddenly opened up a new Pandora's box of exposure to legal rights, duties, responsibilities, and liabilities as we go forward. So first thing first, you don't comply with this law, whether it's in logistics sector or otherwise, be prepared that you can be sued for 5 crore rupees damages by way of compensation under section 43 of this act. That's only for certain cases. Under other cases, you can be sued for unlimited damages. Second thing, this law has also got some penal consequences. It's defined some cyber crimes. So if you go ahead and diminish the value and utility of data, the logistics ecosystem, be prepared to know that it is offense under section 66 of the IT Act, punishable with imprisonment and fine. 3 years imprisonment, 5 lakh rupees fine. So don't think it's fun world. It's a very, very cruel world. You need to do everything to protect your back. Why? Because nobody's going to come and help you once you get exposed. So bottom line is, various of these cyber crimes are defined. You need to know about this. So don't go and steal somebody's identity, think it's joking time. No, it's not. It's an offense, gets you 3 years jail time. Don't cheat by impersonation using a computer source. Don't go ahead and breach somebody else's privacy, because these are all various offenses that have been stipulated under the law. But under this law, the government has been given the power to come up with rules and regulations. So the government in 2021 came up with the Information Technology Rules 2021. You guys in the logistics sector, if you're dealing with electronic data, which all of us are, you'll have to make sure that you will not publish, post, transmit, share, upload, or forward any information which is prohibited under the law. And various information has been so prohibited. But please remember, when you are in the logistics sector, you become an intermediary, because you are dealing with third-party data, client data. The client is telling you, here, please do this job from A point to point B. And you are dealing with that data and the logistic aspects. So under the law, you become an intermediary and an network service provider. So once you do that, this law says that you will have to implement reasonable security practices and procedures. For example, even under the IT rules 2011. So if you comply with ISO 27001, it's an example of your complying with cybersecurity norms. They also say, if you find a cybersecurity breach happening at your network, don't be quiet. Mandatory to the nodal agency on cybersecurity. That's a mandatory obligation. I can't walk away from it.
walk through this, but you will actually play with fire as we go forward. What happens if you don't comply with the law? Nothing. Just be prepared for two things. Number one, you can be sued for unlimited damages by way of compensation. Number two, you should be prepared to do some jail time. Minimum 3 years imprisonment could go up to lifetime. Fine could just begin with 1 lakh rupees and go up to 10 lakh rupees. So that's the two exposures. If you want to don't comply with this law, that's what the message is that's coming. In addition, you are also likely to be prosecuted under the Information Technology Act and the Indian Penal Code. And the law says that the Suraksha coverage or the statutory exemption from legal liability that the law has provided you is going to be snatched away from you. So all your benefits, all your protections are going to evaporate left, right, and center. This is the case of X versus Union of India, decided by the Delhi High Court, which upheld the IT rules 2021. This is the matter in which I was the amicus curiae appointed by the Delhi High Court in this. So when I'm into logistics, one is physical logistics, but large component of logistics today is also electronic logistics or digital logistics. In fact, you can't go physical logistics without digital logistics. And that being so, we are now increasingly getting sucked into this new liability as intermediaries under the IT Act. Section 79 repeats a story that we know from our childhood times. We all read Mahabharata. So in the Mahabharata, there's one Gita discourse. You examine the entire Gita discourse, there's one common theme. The theme is Lord Krishna saying to Arjuna, "Hey Arjuna, come to my ambit, come to my sharan, and I will protect you." The exact message gets replicated under the IT Act. The law is telling you, come inside my parameters, comply with my provisions, and I guarantee you two things. Number one, you will not be sent to jail. Number two, you can't be forced to pay 1 rupee damages for compensation. This is notwithstanding anybody suing you anywhere in the world, no problem. But the law is giving you this guarantee. I think the logistics sector, I would want you to take this particular protection. Why? Because you don't know when are you going to be hit. There'll be some delays, some negligence, some oversight somewhere. And the chances of you being sued are going to be relatively high. More so when post-COVID, there's now a new tsunami of litigations that has begun to start coming. In addition, if you are a company who's into logistics, then be prepared, the company can't be sent to jail. So the law says no problem. The top management can be sent to jail. So every person responsible for running the day-to-day affairs of the company or management of its activities shall be deemed to be guilty of this offense and shall be liable to be punished accordingly. So the thumb rule is cybersecurity is no longer a luxury. Cybersecurity has to be the need of the hour. We need to inculcate that as a part of our day-to-day lives, as a culture of living as we go forward. It's getting very important. Everybody has begun to start talking with cybersecurity, but you realize today we're talking more about AI and less about cybersecurity. Why? Because AI is the flavor of the season. Well, but foundation continues to be on cybersecurity. Unfortunately, at the time when I talked with you today morning, India does not have a dedicated law on cybersecurity. So consequently, that does not mean we don't have any legal provision. Under the IT Act, in the year 2008, after the Mumbai attacks, we defined this is how we define cybersecurity in very, very broad terms to include means protecting information, equipment, devices, computer resource, communication device, and information stored therein from unauthorized access, use, disclosure, disruption, modification, and destruction. So huge. I think this particular legal definition is going to be with us for the next almost a century because the way it's defined is so broad. Further, we had come up with the National Cybersecurity Policy in 2013. We did not implement it for a variety of reasons, and now the government works up on a new cybersecurity strategy. A number of that elements will equally be relevant in the context of the logistics sector. But ladies and gentlemen, you now need to tighten your belts because something has happened from 28th of June 2022. The government has come up with the IT Directions 2022. These directions are telling you in a nutshell, If there is a cyber security breach or a cyber incident or a cyber security incident on your system and you come to know about it, you are now required to mandatorily report it within 6 hours of coming to know. You don't report? Process, no problem. You don't report within 6 hours. At the end of 6 hours, you automatically commit an offense, punishable with 1 year's imprisonment and fine. Okay? So I don't report the cybersecurity breach. And I have this Damocles sword hanging on my head because the next 7 years, the government can come back and prosecute. So these directions are very, very important. They are once again asking us to come back to basic common denominators, which are given under ISO 27001 when I'm looking at the digital aspects of logistics as we go forward. So I think apart from all this, if your appetite is not very filled up, think again. 11th of August 2023, the government has now, the parliament has passed a new law called the Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2023. This will apply to all of you. Why? Because in the logistics sector, you will be collecting some personal data, whether it's of clients, whether it's of any other entities. Now the law says, gone are the days where you can think you can capture somebody's data and walk away and do anything. No, you will not be able to do that. Why? Because this law says first you'll have to give notice to the person whose data you want to get collected and say, sir, I want to collect your data. Please give me your consent. And if that particular person gives you that consent, then you are okay to collect data. Otherwise, you are actually playing with a huge fire. Why? Because they have now come up with unprecedented fines. First and foremost, this is not about all kinds of data, it's only for personal data. But I think when I'm in the logistics sector, I will be capturing some personal data of some clients, maybe some concerned authorized representatives. In any case, I'll be capturing the Aadhaar, the PANs of the relevant entities. So all that qualifies as personal data. So now, in addition to other things, a new set of compliances will have to be done. You will have to give your concerned persons the right to modify, go ahead, delete, or completely change said personal information. They can request the deletion, correction, updation of this information. Now, if you're giving that particular information to generative AI, you're actually playing with fire because ChatGPT is going to be a disaster in this particular regard. But bottom line is, if there's a breach happening, then be prepared. Or if you don't comply with this law, be prepared for some small change to go out of your pockets. What is the small change? Nothing. Fines up to 250 crore rupees. So you don't comply with this law, no problem. You can be fined from 50 crore rupees to 250 crore rupees. Okay? Where does the fine go? The fine does not go to any complainant. The fine goes to the government of India. Okay? Which means you don't pay the fine, the government will recover it as areas of land. So now suddenly the context of operations change in the Indian ecosystem. And I think this is one issue. So please, in the logistics sector, this law has not yet been operational, but I think post-elections, the government will just notify again when this law comes up in place. In the logistics sector, you'll have to ensure compliance. Otherwise, 250 crore rupees would be a big problem. I think I want to also just focus my attention on the interconnection between AI and cybersecurity generally and specifically in the logistics sector because everybody is doing AI. 30th of November 2022, ChatGPT came. It hit us by surprise, and since now it's a different ballgame altogether. But when we are actually now generating so much work and data on ChatGPT, we're not even thinking about either its terms and conditions or the legal policy and regulatory regulations. You know, in India, there are two revolutions happening simultaneously. One is the Great Indian Vomiting Revolution. Indians are vomiting data on the internet, on ChatGPT, without thinking of the legal ramifications. And the second is the Great Indian Recording Revolution. Everybody seems to be recording stuff. So if you are going to vomit your personal data on this, there's going to be a problem. Okay. I'm sure college is the time for girlfriends, right? Or boyfriends, depending on which side of the fence you are. So just share with you a small story. This is a not story, this is a client. Immediately after ChatGPT got launched, a couple of months later, there's a particular client, I can't name, he's a page 3%. And he's got a reputation of being a Casanova, a womanizer. No problem. Each person has got their own set of problems. He has his own set of problems. So somebody told him about ChatGPT. So he went to ChatGPT. Now, when you log into ChatGPT, it asks you to log in from an email address. 95% of Indians log in with their own personal name email addresses for a variety of reasons. So he logged in with his own name email address. And then he put his problem to ChatGPT. And his problem was that I have 7 girlfriends. Namely 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 by name. I can't manage them. Can you give me a girlfriend management plan? So ChatGPT gave a girlfriend management plan. He started implementing it. Somebody in his office came to know about it. So they went to ChatGPT saying, here's this Mr. Gentleman ABC. We are told he's got various girlfriends. Could you name the girlfriends? ChatGPT names all the 7 girlfriends. So when you're, vomiting your personal data on generative AI, let's remember it that our personal data becomes public data and then it can be used for a variety of stuff. But I think when you're now using ChatGPT or generative AI, you're using it both for purposes of disturbing or breaching cybersecurity and also for the purposes of protecting cybersecurity. And now with GPT-4 coming in, it's far more efficient, but then there are equal legal problems that are still waiting for you to be unveiled. So handle this new technology with care, otherwise, who knows, you could be tomorrow's sucked up. 72 hours back, Elon Musk has filed a lawsuit against Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, on the ground that, hey guys, you are now trying to monetize GPT, which is not the original version, but please pay damages and stuff like that. So, in the last 1 year, we've seen a tsunami of litigations on generative AI, ChatGPT. So whether it's on Microsoft Copilot or whether it's on ChatGPT, or even now on Google as well. So I think it's a different ballgame altogether. But I think I'm concerned on the bigger stuff. July 2023, OpenAI has launched a new project. It's called the Super Intelligence Alignment Project. They're saying, give us 4 years. In 4 years, we are now going to come up with a new super intelligence that will supersede human intelligence. So this book, I've already looked up and identified what are the key legal parameters that we need to build in super intelligence now. Because once it supersedes our intelligence, there's no way you'll be able to control this as we go forward. I think in the blockchain ecosystem, you may be using, in the logistics, you may be using some bit of blockchains for retaining information. You need to be careful of the legalities. Yes, sometimes the client may say, I want to pay you in cryptocurrencies, bitcoins or whatever. You need to understand the legalities the same as you go forward. If you're using Internet of Things in logistics sectors, please think again. There are a large number of legalities that are waiting for you to be unveiled. And I think we love this fantastic new technology of facial recognition. This morning when I was coming in the morning from Delhi, so the normal line was a very heavy line and then there was a DG Yatra line, which was completely empty. But the next time you start using applications like DG Yatra, ask yourself a question. What is your data doing? Who's having access to the data? So it's better to spend another 10 minutes into the line rather than to go into technology whose ramifications you're still not very clear of. But I think we also have to be now prepared that there will be now logistics on a new technology called metaverse, where people will come back and tell you, Chief, we want to build up this new virtual property on the metaverse. Could you help us with the logistics aspects? Of course, the legalities for the same will also have to be dealt with. But let's realize it. Perimeter security is long dead and gone. It's all about edge security. So in logistics, you're ultimately getting connected to the network through your various devices. Please ensure the compliance with ramifications on edge security. You will be using digital assets in logistics. Please understand and get yourself familiarized with the legal policy nuances pertaining to the same. And please be prepared that you're going to be hit from this deep, dark underbelly of the internet called the dark net. This is the place where cybercrime as a service is existing, as an economic model is existing. So attacks on logistic ecosystem from the dark nets are going to be the new age reality. So, of course, there'll be problems if you get hit, you get compromised. Which jurisdiction, which law? How do you identify the concerned person? And can you sue that particular concerned person? Big gray zones, still not probably yet addressed by law, but will have to be addressed as we go forward. Biggest issue, how do you identify and attribute a breach on your logistics ecosystem to a particular cyber actor, state actor or a non-state actor? So I think bottom line is very quickly we'll have to start declaring logistics as a critical information infrastructure of the country. And the quicker we start doing it, the more kind of protection we can actually give to the entire ecosystem. Because if you are able to derail logistics, I think you have the ability to prejudicially impact the growth of the economy and the nation as we go forward. Further, I think we must be now prepared that the cybersecurity of the logistics sector is going to be extensively targeted by state and non-state actors. You realize that when this G20 took place, every minute the Indian networks were being targeted by almost 14 to 15 lakh attacks every minute. Now that's just an example to tell you how other states are not particularly happy with the way India is progressing and growing. And therefore, they're likely to derail exercises, and therefore logistics has to be mindful. I think the logistics policy and management needs to focus on cyber legal and the cyber security aspects. Please use AI, but handle it with care, more so, because you don't know when AI is going to come back and bite you. Let's quickly realize we've already walked into a new world. It's called a new world order has come in. I call it the new cyber world order. You will have to now work in this space. So when Mr. Shah talked about you being lucky ones, because the next 20, 30 years belong to all of you, he's bang on target. But you have to operate under this new ground change realities of the cyber ecosystem. So please get your cyber limits incorporated into your strategies as you go forward. Please ensure protection of data. Don't get stuck into litigation. Because in the country, once you get stuck in litigation, it can take you many, many years as we go forward. You're using Web 3.0, please go ahead and use it. You want to go for decentralized economy, by all means go ahead and use it. But again, please be careful of the legal ramifications and nuances as we go forward. I think Gati Shakti University and Vishwavidyalaya needs to be complimented for its remarkable role, because I mean I was reading about it, and the kind of work that this university is doing is something unique, which no other university I can find in the Indian ecosystem who's able to do that. So congratulations. On filling up the vacuum that existed and on leading to by your example, by your front. I think that's phenomenal. But I think we also now need to take thought leadership at the Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya on the cyber legal ramifications and the cyber security aspects of logistics per se. Therefore, the need for capacity building will be an evergreen subject, right? Whether you like it or not, we will always require more capacity building in all aspects pertaining to logistics and management. And if you think some people don't require it, think again. I thought, the International Court of Justice is the biggest court in the world, and they're sitting in The Hague, and they would not require the capacity building. I was surprised. I went and trained the judges and the officers at the International Court of Justice on cyber law and cyber security issues. I've also created a platform called cyberlawuniversity.com, where I offer about 37 courses online. Most of these courses are on cyber law, cyber crime, cyber security, AI, blockchain, IoT. These courses are also available on udemy.com. And I think these courses have already been done by more than about 30,000 professionals from 174 countries in the last 5 years. One figure that tell you about the need for more capacity. I think before I wind up, I wanted to highlight to these 3 color diagrams that we do at my law firm. Today, when everybody is dealing with personal data, it's time for you to go ahead and protect yourself and do your compliances. So we do the compliances under the Digital Personal Data Protection Act. Depending on your appetite, depending on your exposure, you can go for DPDP red, which is bare minimum, a DPDP orange medium, which is somewhere in the middle, but a DPDP green gives you complete coverage. There's this new course, by the way, I've started on Udemy. You can go and look at this course on AI and regulation. And when I do these courses, I always realize today people don't want Gyan. People want, how can this help me in my life? So I always like to keep my courses keeping in mind that particular perspective as we go forward. I think these courses will have to be created more. I'm told you at your university have a particular course on AI and machine learning. Phenomenal work. I think more work to be done. Finally, Let's realize it. Cybersecurity, cyber law will have to be increasingly important, fascinating aspects of logistics ecosystem. And therefore, compliance will be of topmost priority. Please don't give compliance a second-hand approach, a second-party approach. Why? Because you are potentially being exposed to radiation. I'm only saying one thing: it's bound to rain. Please go and carry a good umbrella, carry a good raincoat, so that you can be protected from getting wet in the rain. So this increasing exposure could potentially derail businesses, reputations, goodwills, etc. And please exercise your respective due diligences under the Information Technology Act 2000 and rules and regulations. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your time, knowledge, and passion with us. Your presence has been truly inspiring and deeply appreciated. We now conclude the fourth technical session of Epitome 24. We extend our sincerest gratitude to all the speakers and students for their contribution and patience. We hope the session has been as enriching for you as it has been for us. Before we move on, we would like to acknowledge your esteemed presence with a small token of appreciation. I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor to give token of appreciation to our distinguished guests. I request Dr. Pavan Kumar Agarwal to come on the stage. Shri Samir J. Shah sir. Thank you, sir. Shri Jatin Malviya sir. Thank you, sir. And Shri Pavan Duggal sir.
They are also sort of a transformative all
Before we delve into the further session, 20 minutes. Students, students are requested to be back by 12:30 p.m.
student is to not only just get a job, but actually go towards building something and building a legacy for the nation. And that's for entrepreneurship. And for this entrepreneurship, we must understand what kind of market, what kind of industry I will choose. That's the thinking. The first thinking when you talk about any businessman or any entrepreneur, he will first try to think that where should I start? What is my starting point? And rail industry gives you an enormous platform to think on that terms. Right now, the total planned investment in the rail sector only in India is $715 billion, which is much more than all the electronics sector total together. But trust me, a lot of the people in the other colleges does not recognize this, that how big is the railway sector and how big it can make you in your overall career progression. Right now in India, there are total 5,000 running projects, be it in infrastructure and rolling stock. The number of startups is shooting up. More than almost 800 startups have thrived in the last 3 to 4 years itself, which is an enormous number in terms because railways were always considered to be a very conventional industry. It was never considered the true place for any startup to thrive. But the kind of scale in which our government right now is putting the investments are basically prompting all the young minds to open their eyes and also come and join in our industry. So if you see, any of you can say what is the total population of the total global population today? 8 billion. Indian Railways today actually carries the entire global population in 1 year in its trains. And by 2020, I think 2031, it will be around 12 billion people which Indian Railways will be carrying.
Devendra.
The rail industry, when we say in our business terminology, that it is a sunrise industry and it is getting tremendous momentum. The entire sector is in its inflection point of exponential growth. And there is an effort required by all of us to invest more and more resources towards innovation and development to provide the right impetus of growth. There are several organizations and entrepreneurs who are continuously working on innovative solutions which can make the rail transport much more safer, faster, efficient, and more sustainable. In the next few minutes, I shall try to discuss few areas which bright minds like you can be interested and contribute towards smarter evolution using the levers of technology and math. So all of us have been aware that India has started using driverless trains. Are we all aware? Right. So, but that is only a very small part of the entire Indian railway network. And Indian railway network has not been adopted. Basically, it's in a very small metro, which has been adopted right now. But the entire effort is right now being put together to make the entire rail network of around 67,000 kilometers autonomous. Imagine a future where the mainline, local, and expresses, which we board every day, all will navigate the entire 70,000 kilometers of rail network autonomously optimizing routes, minimizing the delay, and enhancing safety. This is not a distant dream, but a tangible reality, which is being pursued by a lot of companies right now. By leveraging advanced technologies such as AI, machine learning, lot of inventions in the sensor technologies, we are developing autonomous systems that promise to revolutionize the way we travel and transport the goods. Rail control systems, you see like CBTC, ETCS level 2, and everyone knows about Kavach now, right? Which is a basically a train collision avoidance system. All have been continuously getting customized, tested, implemented at different automation levels. As you see, from GOA 1, which is a grade of automation 1, we are moving towards a grade of automation 4 for not only metro networks, but also the entire mainline networks, which will eliminate any kind of delays. The average delay right now, what we face is around 31 minutes per train, which can be eliminated completely. So this is one of the very interesting spaces for innovation and automation for all of you guys to think about and see that how you guys can contribute to more help on automating this entire rail network. Then we talk about a smart infrastructure and predictive maintenance. Now we all heard about the Balasore fatal incident, what railways had. There are several lives have been lost.
Okay, wait.
Could we protect? We have protected it better. There are actually use cases right now being done by several companies where we can actually predict the maintenance and do it. It was so that when the root cause analysis of the accident was done, it was evident that this was due to human error and the mix of untimely maintenance, which was not supposed to be happening at that point of time. So all of this can be avoided if we can use smart infrastructure and predictive maintenance. Traditional approaches in maintaining railway infrastructure often rely on reactive measures. We always try to think about that. अगर ये derailment हो जाएगा फिर देखूंगा, फिर जाके we will try to figure out something. But harnessing the power of data analytics, IoT sensors, predictive algorithms, now entrepreneurs are developing solutions that enable proactive maintenance and real-time monitoring of railway assets. This is extensively being started by a lot of global companies. In fact, there are a lot of Indian companies who are investing a lot of effort to make it seamless and try to get it approved by the railways. So if Indian Railways basically adopts this entire smart and predictive maintenance technologies, there are a lot of advantages for the speed, for the safety, and the eliminating the delays, which will cause enormous increase of the efficiency. So I was during the break, I was discussing a very interesting case of Gati startup, which she coming and then describing it. So this is absolutely an example that we all have heard about the evolution of software as services, SaaS model, and how it has revolutionized the world of e-commerce, the ease of business, how it have been changing the entire way we have used our computers. Right now, we do not install software. We all use the software as service platforms where everything can be done through the internet itself. Now, on the mobility space, also, there is a requirement which is being cropping up that we can actually use mobility as a service where we connect all the goods. In all these metros, there are several metros being built now in India, but often we hear that the ridership quality is down. The ridership number of ridership is down. It is not getting profitable. People are still using their cars. They're buying more cars. They're using more personal cars to go to from point A to point B. But why they're doing it? When we analyze this thing, what we can understand that the biggest trouble when I stay in a place where the metro is around 5 kilometers from my home, and my office is after you get down from the metro is another 3 kilometers from there. To do this thing, I have to actually book an Ola or an auto, and I have to go to the metro station, or I have to park my car over there, uh, and then I again take a metro, and then again get down, and then again take something to reach my office. And each one of this will involve some kind of effort from our end, either by booking tickets or by doing something. But imagine a thing where I can just book one ticket in a month to utilize all these services. Everything will be integrated. It's called multimodal transportation. All of you guys in the transportation engineering will be coming to know about it. The more and more multimodal transportation will be integrated and use mobility as a service concept, this entire process of moving from point A to B, more public transport service will be used rather than their cars. You have to make the people convenient from point A to point B, and that is one of the main objectives of any transportation engineer. And mobility as a service can actually contribute immensely. What the Vadodara startup is actually doing, she will be explaining it, where tier 2, tier 3 cities, they are trying to get all these people from a station when they get down in a station to another point to their ultimate destination, and they're trying to get this through an app or a software as a service, which is a tremendous effort. And thank you so much for actually coming to know that this is actually coming to real, because I thought only Singapore and Dubai is having that, but India is moving towards that. This is absolutely commendable. So on the sustainability, so obviously when uh, the main theme of transporting a goods or a passenger from point A to point B, the main idea of it right now, how do we efficiently transport this particular person or a good from point A to point B in much more faster, safer, reliable, and sustainable way. When we talk about sustainability, there's a tremendous opportunity for us to all invent, innovate, and more contribute towards reducing the carbon footprint, which is one of the major problems right now we all face across the India. Now, if you have carefully thought about the electrification drive which the Indian Railway have taken, in the last 10 years, 56% of the railroads are electrified. Before that, in the entire 40 years, there was only 45% of it was electrified. So now, right now, when standing at January 1, 2024, 96% of all railroads in India are electrified, which is a significant achievement in reducing the carbon footprints, which is required to give breathing space for all of us plus the next generation. Now, there are several methods in which people are trying to contribute towards sustainability, and I think bright minds, united minds like you should come forward
efforts towards building the sustainability.
Right. So before before I close, I just wanted to tell you that GSB, what has been doing is an excellent effort in terms of preparing engineers who can contribute to the transportation sector. The demand and supply right now in the transportation industry is enormous. The skill level which is required for the industry, we are actually not getting. We do campus interviews, we do a lot of say the skill building exercises, but when we try to get this people on the field, it takes around 6 months of any company to actually get out, because railway engineering, if I talk about only railway engineering or aerospace engineering, these are very sensitive, complex subjects when you are into the infrastructure. Those kind of things require specific skill sets to handle, and GSB has been tremendous, has been contributing tremendously in trying to deliver this to the industry. And I'm looking forward to actually have a canvassing session for all of you students to be part of this enormous journey of rail infrastructure. Thank you so much, sir, for this platform for all the students to come forward and contribute towards transportation industry. So lastly, for the students, whether you choose to pursue career in industry, academia, or entrepreneurship, remember that you have the power to shape the future of transportation and leave a huge impact in the society. Thank you so much. And we move to the next speaker. One thing I want to inform you, maybe all of you know, in 2022, Indian Railways opened up Indian Railway Innovation Portal. And in many areas like rail system or open rail system or minimizing manual inspection of or many of these areas, railways invite the proposals from startups. As of January 2024, 248 startups and Indian Railways granted around 44 crore rupees as funding to those startups. Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya, what we do? We will connect with all these startups. We will try to connect with all these startups. So that our goal is not, our goal, the programs are engineering program, management program. That will allow you to degree in engineering or management. Our goal is not to produce engineers or management. Our goal is to make leaders who will lead the transportation. So I will be very happy if first unit comes from me. Not only to become job seekers, how we will create new companies, because I really want to point to the time. Lesson is not only for listening. You have to think what you can do. In GST alone, as we talked yesterday, in first year itself, we were 5 vacancies. Within our first year, itself on the field sector, we started. So we want to innovate for 3 years. We cannot wait for one decade for university sector. What is modification? यही समय है सही है सभी का. So we have to listen to all and start thinking whatever BA project, whatever BBA project, whatever MBA project, everything can be a startup. We have to think of the UI. I really want to say that because in Indian railway sector now tremendous opportunity for Europe. जो IT industry 1990 that is transportation sector today. IT industry took 30 years. We have only 7. So logistics, transportation, all opportunities of innovation companies, there is no end. मैं तो आपको ये भी बता दूं, there are many more different techniques.
Was truly fascinating. Thank you, sir, for sharing your expertise with us today. Your knowledge and passion was truly inspiring. We are immensely grateful to you for gracing us with your presence today. Thank you, sir. Now, without any further ado, let us extend a warm welcome to our esteemed guest today, Ms. Zaiba, the founder of Logistics, growing up in a society focused on education and betterment. She is inspired to use her knowledge and skills to help others. This led her on a unique career path, starting from a computer science degree, but ultimately finding her passion in sales. Years of hard work and dedication honored her skills in networking and logistics. Her talent and dedication have been recognized on national scale. She is being listed among the Tech 30 startups in India in 2018. By honored as one of the 40 under 40 startups by Times Group. Her passion for innovation and creating a positive impact make a valuable voice in today's discussion on entrepreneurship and innovation. Today, we are privileged to have you here, ma'am. I invite you to please share your invaluable insights and experiences. लहरों से डरकर नौका पार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं। Keep moving forward and upward in life despite of all the challenges and obstacles. Hello everyone, this is Deva Sarang. I'm the co-founder of iThink Logistics. We are an AI-based multi-carrier shipping platform. It's like a single and simple tool to manage and automate e-commerce seller shipping needs. We are providing a seamless shipping experience to the independent e-commerce sellers. Our mission is to become an extended logistic arm for these sellers so that the e-commerce landscape can grow. So I'm the co-founder of Piping Logistics. We founded this company in 2017 with 5 friends. Now we are a team of 200 plus members and growing. There has been so many lessons that I have learned along the way, and I wanted to share a few of them with all of you. Starting from my bachpan, I came from a very lower middle class family. In fact, I grew up in Mumbai slums along with my parents, my siblings, and my dad. Back then, one of my greatest influencers was my parents. My father was an electrician. He worked very hard to put food on our table. My mom also supported him by taking tuitions to local kids in our locality. In fact, a very funny thing, guys, हमने पापड़ भी बेले हैं बचपन में to make some income out of it. So from there, मैंने एक बहुत important lesson learn किया अपनी life का, which was with the hard work and dedication you can achieve anything and everything. Now, getting back to my entrepreneurship journey, in 2010, while graduating in BSc Computer Science, me and my two other co-founders, Vipul and Bharat, we thought like we had a final year of project of student database management system. We created with very passionately of that project, and we thought now this is the time we can sell this product to the market and get some pocket money out. While after graduating, like completing our graduation in 2011, before getting our results in our hand, we founded our tech company, first tech company called Deposit and Protect. Sir ने जैसे बताया कॉलेज में it's time to become to make girlfriend boyfriend. Yes, that is also a time, but I believe if you can utilize some of your time, you can also create a great startup or company with your friends and colleagues which you know from your college days or your school life. So we were very happy like our small idea is turning into business. We thought हम इसको बहुत अच्छे से scale कर पाएंगे. But there was so many challenges. Like हमने जब software बनाया था, that was a Windows software. And in 2011-12, all entire world was getting into web. Software install करने जा रहे थे किसी के system में Windows XP होता है, किसी में Windows 7 होता है, we were getting visibly fail in that part. And then we thought अभी 2016 और 17, 15 and 16 के दरमियान e-commerce industry was growing. Flipkart, Amazon were taking place in this industry. So we were like, okay, we are from a logistics, we are from a tech background. हमने खुद की website भी बनाए हैं. And in fact, we build software or website for different agencies or different companies to get them digital selling. So हमने कहा this is a very good idea, right? Time है हम भी खुद की e-commerce industry में ले लें. But when we started our e-commerce journey, we were getting very good orders out of it. Unfortunately, we were not able to scale the business because of logistic inefficiency. वहां पर हमें पता चला this is a major problem which is not only faced by us as a small sellers. There are many people who we have worked or created their website. They are also facing this challenge. The problem was, sorry, I skipped one very important point here. Purpose. So my purpose to getting into entrepreneurship was very clear. As I told, financial background बहुत low था. I got a scholarship from an NGO to complete my education. After 10, they sponsored my complete education, and I was from Urdu medium school. So it was very difficult and tough for me to scale up or to get that position where other English medium kids were in science were able to achieve their growth. But with the hard work and dedication, I was able to achieve a good rank and got a scholarship to complete my entire education from them. And literally, that gave me an opportunity to choose entrepreneurship rather than getting into 9 to 5 job. What I believe personally, with a 9 to 5 job, I can only change my family's financial condition. But back in my heart, I have a very soft corner, very small soft corner, where I believe क्या पता कहीं किसी और जगह कोई ज़ेबा किसी का वेट कर रही होगी to get out of that poverty line. That is the only thing that gives me a fire in my belly. Like whatever the situation is, personal, professional, I have to get up every day to get my purpose life. So my one very important factor of fundamentals of entrepreneurship which I wanted to discuss with all of you was a purpose. Guys, आपको identify करना होगा what purpose or what purpose you are getting into entrepreneurship. सिर्फ आपको पैसे कमाने हैं, वो आपका purpose है. आपको कोई सोसाइटी में impact create करना है. It's not like मेरा जो purpose होगा वही सबका purpose होगा. You guys will have a different purpose altogether. But according to me, that purpose, that only purpose will help you to go far. Irrespective of कोई भी situation. There will be challenges कि आज आपको लग रहा होगा entrepreneurship में यार अभी तो give up कर. When we started in 2011 to 2019, I will tell you, financially बहुत crunch था. मतलब next month का rent भी pay किया जाएगा कि घर का. We will be able to have food in our table next month. इतना challenge था. So there was every month एक बार आता था कि यार छोड़ देते चलो job. चलो छोड़ देते job. But I believe that purpose only gave me that fire कि नहीं कुछ भी हो जाए हमको करना. So please guys identify that purpose. अगर वो आपके लिए money कमाना है, पैसे कमाना है, वो हो सकता है. अगर आपको एक सोसाइटी में इम्पैक्ट क्रिएट करना है, आपकी पोजीशन ड्राइव करनी है कि हम यहाँ से आए हैं इस लेवल से आज हमको वहाँ पर एक पोजीशन ड्राइव करनी है आपकी सोसाइटी में, आपके एनवायरनमेंट में, व्हाटएवर यू वांट टू हैव दैट पर्पस आइडेंटिफाई करेंगे. दैट विल नेवर लेट यू डाउन, नेवर लेट यू डाउन. वही आपको आगे ड्राइव करेगा. पॉइंट वाज प्रॉब्लम. तो यहाँ पर जैसे हमने 2011 टू 2017 तक बहुत से डिफरेंट बिजनेसेस किए, ई-कॉमर्स वेबसाइट बनाई, प्रोडक्ट सेल किया, वी वर्क विद डिफरेंट लॉजिस्टिक कंपनीज, हमने ब्लू डार्ट, डीएचएल के सॉफ्टवेयर और टेक डेवलपमेंट में भी काम किया था अच्छा खासा. सो वी हैड टेक बैकग्राउंड ऑफ आवर्स एंड प्रॉब्लम ये आइडेंटिफाई हुई कि ई-कॉमर्स एंड लॉजिस्टिक जो कंपनी है, लॉजिस्टिक पार्टनर्स हैं, दे वर नॉट एबल टू गिव अ प्रॉपर अटेंशन और सर्विसेज टू द स्मॉल सेलर्स. उनकी वजह से उनका बिजनेस सस्टेन नहीं कर रहा था. मेजर प्रॉब्लम वाज हाई रिटर्न्स. अगर लॉजिस्टिक पार्टनर्स लाइक दे वांटेड टू वर्क विद बिग कंपनीज, Amazon, Flipkart, मित्रा के साथ उनको काम करना था. अ ब्रांड विच डूइंग 10 और 15 ऑर्डर्स उनको उनकी पड़ी नहीं. So they were just getting neglected by them. Another problem was अगर by chance they got a agreement with the logistic companies also, but they need to have a platform or a technology जहाँ पर उनको aggregation करके मिले, like which pin code is serviceable by which partner. एक partner is not sufficient enough to serve the entire India. There has to be multiple partners which can help them to reach their मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का या जिसका काम है सेलिंग का, they had to get into logistics. So we created this platform, I think logistic, which is an aggregator platform, जहाँ पर हमारे पास multiple partners उनको मिल रहे हैं. They don't have to get different contracts with them. They don't have to be deal with separately. उनके पास हम हैं, हमारे पास सारे partners हैं. They can get with our recommendation engine. We can help them कि ये pin code पे ये partner कैसे serve कर रहा है. This is the main USP you can use for that partner. Another important factor which I told, high returns. So high returns हो रहा था because of high cash on delivery orders. Like still in India, though the situation has been changed post-COVID, then to still people prefer to have COD as their mode of payment. तो COD है, logistic inefficiency है, RTOs बढ़ रहे थे, returns बढ़ रहे थे. जितना profit वो लोग 100 orders deliver करके कर रहे हैं, उतने 100 orders with their shipping, out of 100, 30s are getting return. तो उनका P&L revenue जो है, profit जो है, null हो जाता है. So we solved that specific problem कि हम seller का returns कैसे reduce कर. So returns reduce करने के लिए ये हमने हमारा platform या service define. So you have to understand कि आप आपके customer के लिए, brand के लिए कौन सा unique problem या already जो problem exist कर रहे हैं वो solve करना चाहते हैं. If you find that, I believe आप you have to make different combination. ऐसा नहीं हमने जो platform एक बार में बना दिया था, that was working well. There was MVP, minimum viable product बनाया. We get into the market, हमने customers को product दिखाए कि आपको ये इसमें और क्या features चाहिए. Me and my other co-founders, we were very much involved to get the details or the problem understanding from the customers. हमको तो पता था, like we all know entrepreneurs को खुद का business, खुद का idea बहुत अच्छा लगता है. But क्या वो customer का actual problem solve कर रहा है, वो identify. So that's what we did, and we were able to make it a maximum problem जो customers face कर रहे थे, वो हम किसी ना किसी तरीके से हमारे platform के through solve कर पाए. Now, if I talk about our customer base, we have around 10,000 e-commerce sellers who are using our platform, and we are doing around 30,000, 35,000 shipments a day. We are a bootstrap company. This year we will be clocking around 100 CR ka revenue. This only happened because of solving or identifying. Right? Are you guys with me?
Yeah.
A very important aspect of this team, which is people. People can be your co-founders, people can be your team, people can be sir like Manoj sir, to whom you can get mentorship, people like your customers. Everybody contribute or combines as a people strength in your organization. So आपको जैसे right problem identify किया, right people भी identify करना पड़ेगा. And इसका एक simple mantra है, go and ask for. If you're having any problem, go and discuss with your friend. ये problem मैं face कर रहा हूँ, this is the problem faced by few of my customer, my colleague. इसका हम क्या कर सकते हैं? If they share the same passion to solve that problem with you, to get that journey along with you, take them. Another point is ask for help with the industry expert. Like till date, I am associated with many mentors. Whatever problem I am facing, maybe it is a personal issue or professional issue. I'm getting back to them. I'm asking them for help, and they are ready to help and always available for you. So go and reach out to the people. That is what my another P would be. Now comes important aspect process. Guys, initially जो हम startup या entrepreneurship journey start करते हैं, I believe हमारे process काफी weak होते हैं. It has to be agile. It has to be adaptable. मतलब आज आपने startup का यही एक benefit है. It's not something जो corporate के rules and regulations assign है. You have to follow that and get these things done. I believe आपको day to day process में implementation करना होगा. कुछ ऐसे innovations लाने होंगे. I believe that can be done by using of innovation in your process. आपको process में like you have to learn different organization. उन्होंने उनके process में क्या implementation किया है? क्या ये process and you have to be fail fast. आज हमने एक process किया customer onboarding का. Maybe I'll give you an example. जहाँ पर sign up process है, sign up में हम customer से 5 detail मांग रहे हैं. And we believe when our salesperson is calling them or they are reaching out to them, they are having a lack of information to judge a customer or to talk to them. So within the next day or next week, we have implemented other few details which we require to get the customer on sign up. So this is a small example of process. You have to be agile. आज भी काम नहीं कर रहा है, क्यों नहीं काम कर रहा है? Let's get back to the boardroom. Create करो उस पे permutation combination, yes, no, create an entire model and implement. I believe that can help you to drive a process which can be implemented by your entire team. Founders को तो पता है, clear है कैसे business करना है, but it has to be communicated to the team, and that communication can only happen with the well-defined process. Now comes a very important thing, which is profit. Generally, startups, हमने काफी startups को देखा है, and that is what we are learning from them. कि पैसे profit वगैरह कुछ मायने नहीं रखता. You just have to look for your top line. कितना revenue कर रहे हो, कितना पैसे आप जला रहे हो, that nobody cares. But according to me, this is not the right fundamentals of entrepreneurship. If you are selling something, you have to get profit out of it. मतलब अगर आप 5 रुपए का पार्ले जी खरीद के, if you are purchasing पार्ले जी at 4.5 रुपए, and if you are selling at 5 rupees, आप कुछ प्रॉफिट उसमें या कुछ मार्जिन आप कमा रहे हैं. बट अगर आप वही 5 रुपए का 4.5 का पार्ले जी खरीद के 4 रुपए में सेल करें, इज इट कॉल्ड अ सेलिंग? नो, ये सेवा भी नहीं बोलते हैं, मतलब इसको कुछ और ही बोला जाएगा. मतलब सो लेट्स नॉट गेट इनटू दैट वे कि जहां पर आपको आपके प्रोडक्ट की वैल्यू नहीं है. If you are adding some markup, that means you are giving some value to the customer. So value justified होनी चाहिए. It should not be like कि आपने काफी 50-60% margin आपके प्रोडक्ट में ऐड कर दिया. It depends upon the category and segment and industry also. But 50-60% which is not industry standard of your category, then आपको look upon करना पड़ेगा कि what margin you should put so that आपको आपका EBITDA या आपको profit आपके स्टार्टअप से जनरेट. I believe ये 5 P अगर आप याद रखोगे, पर्पस इज वेरी 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 क्रूशियल. जाके सोचिए, वो एलिसिट विद योर फ्रेंड्स फाउंडर्स के साथ कि हमने क्यों चालू किया. क्यों का आंसर अगर आपको मिलेगा, देन विल कम टू यहाँ पर आपने क्यों फाइंड किया, क्यों करना. कल अगर मेरे पास पैसे खत्म हो गए, इफ टुमारो आई डोंट हैव टू शो टू द इंडस्ट्री, टू द वर्ल्ड, क्या वो पर्पस को क्यों कर रहे हैं. Why did we come here? Then what problem you are solving? What will come here? Then with whom? आप किसके साथ कर रहे हो, किसके लिए कर रहे हो, will come here. How you make it become your process? And उससे क्या आपको मिल रहा है for your problem? Any question? Or anything you want to ask? बोरिंग था क्या? हाँ. Thank you so much.
How did we find Java?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for generously sharing your time and expertise with us today. Your exceptional contributions to the logistic industry and beyond are truly commendable, and we are immensely grateful for the privilege of hosting you. Now, without any further ado, it is our great pleasure that I introduce you to our key guest today, Ms. Shakti, the co-founder of Vadodara.com and also certified financial planner, embodying a rare fusion of entrepreneurial acumen and financial expertise. Her journey in the world of e-commerce and technology has been nothing short of inspiring, marked by her innovative spirit and relentless pursuit of excellence. Her contributions extend beyond the corporate landscape, with active involvement in the NET, Walwani Foundation, and in fact, I am Nagpur, demonstrating a profound dedication to fostering entrepreneurship and education. Her impact resonates in the transformative initiative she leads, particularly in the area of digitizing and standardizing the rural taxi market. The Strive is not just a business venture for her, but a visionary quest to create the largest last mile rural mobility network in India. Today, it is with great admiration and honor that we collectively extend a warm welcome to Ms. Rashi Chan, a visionary leader and a trailblazer in every sense. Your presence here elevates the significance of this Tech-Fest.
Thank you. Firstly, I would want to thank all of you, especially Mr. Manoj sir and Chintala sir, who's not here, for inviting me and thinking that I'm capable of this platform. I would want to congratulate all the members of EPITOME who's made this event successful. Before I begin, I would want all of you to note down questions because मुझे जो बोलना था वो ज़ेबा मैडम ने बोल दिया है सारा. So now I want to take question answers from you guys. Okay? So I'll take a brief about my journey, and then post that we'll do some questions that you have about what is entrepreneurship, any kind of questions that you have. So I'm Rashi Jain. I'm a certified financial planner. I'm the founder of Gati, a transformative last mile mobility solutions for rural India. My journey began very early. I come from a business-oriented family where my father runs a pharma trading business and my mom runs a BFSI training company. But during all vacations, post 8th standard, घर में रूल था, vacation में घर पे नहीं बैठो, मामा की दुकान पे जाओ. So that is where we learned public speaking. कैसे बात करनी है, क्या करना है. We did not know. We had a gold shop. It was a very risky thing. I don't know why my parents did that. But that gave us confidence that people think that parents could build trust कि आप कुछ करिए, कुछ बात करेंगे. Local shop में जाते हो तब you have to speak in local languages. So I started learning Marathi to speak to my customers. Post that, I also we conducted a lot of training for the BFSI. We did mutual funds when mutual funds was not even a thing. जितना पैसा हमें लग रहा है तब we were like putting a lot of energies into teaching mutual funds, teaching financial literacy, teaching all kinds of certificate programs for them. Post that, there was one particular incident जो ध्यान आ रहा है that my father was very frustrated about some sale tax refunds that were pending. Before GST, different states have different taxes. So अगर आपने एक स्टेट से दूसरे स्टेट में transaction किया है, so there is some either you have to pay more or you have to get refund of the taxes. So there was some amount that was pending, and this was just before I graduated. So I was like, I need pocket money. So I like, Papa, मैं ये करेंगे. So I went there and I asked him that what is needed. I went, spoke to the sales tax officer. Surprisingly, that Marathi helped me उनसे communicate करने में. So they saw me putting effort. It was not fluent, but they saw me putting efforts and they were like, बच्ची कुछ कर रही है. Let me assist. And subsequently, a year later, we started getting refunds of 5 years that were pending. Post that graduation के बाद, I was just thinking, what do I want to do? There was one thing back of the mind कि कुछ impact create करना है. Did not understand anything. Took up a job. Reliance Mutual Fund में काम किया. उसके बाद I moved to Capgemini, but it did not make sense to me that I'm creating something of help. I thought I went back to the textbooks. Biogas करके जो product है, that is something that inspired me. The waste management thing inspired me. I did some research. I realized that ये rural India में बहुत अच्छा चलेगा because वहाँ पे गौशाला होती है तो वहीं से उनका waste manage हो जाएगा. उनको ही electricity provide हो जाएगी. It will be an end-to-end circle. But तब मैं नहीं कर पाई because वो confidence नहीं था कि I could, do this on my own. I did not have the right people around me. Then I started thinking that what skills I have and मुझे क्या skills चाहिए. So I understood what traditional business works like, how is a traditional business functioning, but I did not understand the next gen, the technology driven businesses वो कैसे चल रहे हैं. So then I started applying to startups. Like, let me work at a startup. It will give me more understanding of what a technology driven platform is like. Luckily, I landed up a job at a robotic company which made industrial cleaning robots, and they had a patented technology. And more luckily for me was there were 25 of the employees, 24 of them were just engineers, pure engineers. They understood nothing about anything else other than the mechanical bit if they were there, the electrical bit if they were there. So I started as a finance manager. I took on the roles of being an HR, being accounting, compliance, investor relationship management, any and everything other than making the robot. So while doing this, again the efforts were noticed and I was offered a co-founding position in that company. But again, to step back, I want to create an impact. That is when that was just around COVID, and we realized that I took a pause. Then I went to working with what do I want to do. I interned with an author who writes on architecture. I interned at an NGO, Cry, it's based for children. I worked with an event management company just to understand what is the driving passion of it. Post-COVID, what happened is my grandmom, my Gati still stays in my native. So we were visiting her, usual railway पकड़ा मुंबई से nearest station पे उतरे, वहाँ से भी 40-50 kilometers का ride. So we in the taxi station पे उतर के मम्मा मैं बुक कर रही हूँ, चिंता मत करो, आप कुछ local cab बुक मत करो. Surprisingly वहाँ पे cab तो खड़ी थी, but digital platform कोई नहीं था which will ensure your safety, reliability, एक आपको price uniformity. So eventually वहाँ पे जो facility available था वो लेके गए, but then this is where we realized that this is the gap. Now इस gap पे हम थोड़ा reverse engineer करने लगे कि ये मेरे गांव की कहानी है, ये ऐसे बहुत सारे. So we realized that there are more than 2 lakh such villages which are underserved by junctions. कि वो junction पे उतर के ही आपको आपके final destination पे जाना पड़ेगा. So then we started building on the product, and we realized that piggybacking on the railway network, क्योंकि customer कहीं पर भी हो, वो आएगा ना तो रेलवे पे, स्टेशन पे, या बस स्टैंड पे, या एयरपोर्ट पे. Airport is already taken care of. Bus stands है, they almost are covering major of the last mile. वहाँ से distance कम है. Railways is a segment which nobody is touching, and it is spread pan India and it's very organized. So वहाँ पे हुआ जन्म गाड़ी का कि ये प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करनी है रेलवेज के साथ जुड़ के, and इसको आगे. So we started piloting in 30. Initially we just started with Rajasthan, then we expanded to Gujarat. We did some 50 odd stations हमने किया. We realized the challenges that were there. Why people like Ola and Uber were not entering these markets? पैसा तो उनके पास बहुत है, उनको आज एक region चालू करना हो कर देंगे. Money was not the challenge. So we realized the challenges with the union leaders. We understood the mechanism of how to crack these union leaders at each station. हर station का dynamic is different. कहीं पे minimum kilometer आपको charge होंगे, full day के लिए rental लोगे तो 300, कहीं पे 250. So हर region specific. So what we said is we don't want to disrupt the market. We want to just digitalize these. Why? Digitalizing my drivers is very, very important. आज उसको एक 10,000 rupees. This my driver on an average does a turnover of 60,000 rupees a month. Via me, via Vadodara or individually. But उसको अगर suddenly 10,000 रुपए की जरूरत पड़ती है, वो बैंक के पास नहीं जा पाता क्योंकि उसके पास हिस्ट्री नहीं है, transactions. He goes to the local ठेकेदार. Local ठेकेदार कितना इंटरेस्ट देता है? 5% per month. So this is where I thought that I want to digitalize my drivers. This is a platform देके उनका transaction बढ़ा के. So we are working on multiple products that we can give to these people so that in the digital history, the financial inclusion that we are talking about, वो हो. We are providing them with fuel cards. वो average year का 3 to 4 lakh rupees fuel पे spend करता है. तो fuel cards की वजह से उसका credit history build होने लगेगा. So we are working on all these where yes, we are serving our customers, but we know we are creating an impact on the driver's day-to-day structure. So इस तरीके से हमने ये शुरू किया है. अभी हम नए हैं, हमने रेलवेज के साथ रिलेशनशिप शुरू किया है. We have tied up with Eastern Railways to become exclusive pickup and drop service partners. It's an opt-in service. अगर आपको कैब चाहिए आपके स्टेशन पे, तो you can start that. You can opt in. वो स्टेशन पे आपका 3-wheeler, 4-wheeler, आपका से 4-wheeler में भी 4 कैटेगरीज है. आपका सेडान, SUV, प्रीमियम, से 17-seater टेम्पो ट्रैवलर, जो भी अवेलेबल रहेगा वो रीजन में, that is something that you can book on our platform. And that is where we think that जितने number of stations that we more digitalize, we can truly call ourselves it's a mobility for Bharat. That's now I would really want to answer any questions if you guys have. अरे बहुत लोग पूछ रहे हैं ये कैसे हुआ वो कैसे हुआ, बताइए. Right. Right.
So, ma'am, you are serving the outskirts of the city, so maybe there may be two consumers. The consumer who is going out of the rural and then coming back to the rural areas.
Right.
And one may be that who is coming out from the urban going to the rural.
Right.
So, what do you think? Which consumer is the most sensitive in your business? The urban to rural or the rural to rural?
My focus currently is an urban passenger who's traveling to rural India. Because I'm doing intra-city travel, मैं city के अंदर नहीं करती, जो Ola Uber platforms कर रहे हैं. But going ahead, we have an opportunity to delve into rural to also.
So, what is the frequency of these persons who are traveling from urban to rural? Because there might be less frequency because not everyone who goes from urban to rural areas, there may be some purpose. Either there
I will tell you, I'll piggyback on his data, that 8 billion people are traveling pan-India on a yearly basis. To break it down, 23 million people are traveling every day. ठीक है. So I understand जो आप quantity बोल रहे हो शायद कम रहेगा, but अगर आप ट्रेन एक रूट पकड़ते हैं, on an average एक ट्रेन में 900 से 1000 लोग ट्रैवल करते हैं, right? They get down at all the stations, सिर्फ tier 1 नहीं. So that's anybody else?
Thank you so much for all the sharing your journey first. And my question is regarding: do you did you also did the work in the price, regarding reforming the price level and how you dealt with the union leaders you were talking about?
Right. So the biggest challenge was the uniformity of the pricing. Yeah. So we started doing business with these guys. We started asking them if we want to go from say this station to that region, what's the price that you charge for different vehicles? We started speaking to 10 to 15 different vendors on the same station. We averaged it out. We created a rate card. We submitted to these guys, each guys individually. We asked if you want to make any changes to this, let us know. There might be some tweaks to it, but it was a uniformly accepted price range. So it will take time. Honestly, there is some kind of price range in place. आप कोई भी रीजन में ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई 500 बोलेगा और दूसरा सीधा 2000. There is some kind of price range already. कोई 500 बोलेगा, कोई 800 बोलेगा, कोई 1000 बोलेगा. तो उसको एक लेवल पे लाना कि भाई आप 500 और 1000 मत करो, 800 is the fixed price. आप सब चार्ज करके उस हिसाब से चल जाओ. That is the rate card that we took to the union leaders, and we said this is the rate that is accepted by your vendors here, your drivers here, your vehicle owners here. And once that approval happens, we had challenges where the union leaders thought that we are here to capture their business. It took us time to build that trust, to tell them that we are here to bring you business. We don't want to install our new vehicles. We are not here to disrupt the market. We are just here to digitalize you and enable you. प्री बुकिंग मिलेगा आपको, कस्टमर पहले से आएगा, पता है आपको लाइन में नहीं खड़ा रहना है. बिकॉज व्हाट हैपेंस इज यूनियन में फर्स्ट कम फर्स्ट बेसिस होता है. जिसने पहले गाड़ी लगाया आज उसका नंबर. सो यू डोंट हैव टू गो थ्रू ऑल दिस. यू ऑलरेडी हैव booking that you already have a customer waiting.
Also, like Gati Koda provide tracing and tracking services to the customer.
Yes, it's something that we are progressing into.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. Yes, please.
Good afternoon, ma'am. So my question is like the business has been based on how digitizing the processes. How can we protect these services like Ola and Uber has been providing the same business, Paytm, PhonePe. How the services have been protected from neglecting the competition in the market?
Okay. What I will tell you first, Gadi is present where the big players are not present. Ola and Uber is not present. That is where we are picking up the segment of tier 2, tier 3, where nobody is paying much attention. Apart from that, there are a few stations जैसे जयपुर है, जोधपुर है, वहाँ पे we have some kind of Ola and Uber presence. But surprisingly, I tell you an experience of mine. I was looking for a customer. I did not know the rate for a short trip. बाकी 4 दिन he wanted a full package kind of a thing. कि मेरा आज स्टेशन से पिकअप है, ये है, then last drop. So there was this one segment where my driver was not available just for the drop. So I just checked the Ola app and मैंने वो टाइप का रेट कोट कर दिया. कुछ 570 rupees आया था Ertiga पे. Then on the day of travel I was trying to book. I booked. Call है. हाँ मैडम किधर जाना है? सर यहाँ से ये ड्रॉप है. ओके, आपको कम से कम 1500 लगेगा. अमित सर ओला पे इतना दिखा रहा है. नहीं, इतना लगेगा ही. आप I did 10 bookings and 10 conversations like this. The difference between Ola and Gati Koda will be मेरे ऐप पे आपको 1500 ही दिखेगा. 570 नहीं दिखेगा.
Ma'am, these services can be copied also as well by other players.
Right. So what we are doing is, one is building trust, relationship with all of these people. And there are many monetary things. See, I can tomorrow say I will not, I'm charging a 10% commission. कल मैं जाके Ola and Uber are charging 25-30%. मैं बोलूँ I'll charge 5%, I'll not charge anything. ठीक है? But that is not what is implied. What and how are you going to improve the life cycles of the drivers? We sometimes use this word. We want to elevate the journey of a driver to a shopper. Like how can they be in a sense where they are in control of their finances? There are many aspects of this. So, and if players like Ola and Uber are entering these markets, we are open to collaborations with these guys.
Thank you.
Yes.
So my question is this. Okay, so you are the first one perhaps to identify a problem. Right? In some sense, like how Deccan started that low cost aviation is needed in India. Maybe they were first movers in the market. That does not mean that when Indigos of the world came, even if they came later than Deccan, today Indigo is the world leader, Deccan is gone. So the question I am continuing from there, how you are going to future proof yourself, because merely assuming that currently Ola, Uber are not looking at the market, it's just like being a sitting duck.
Right.
Unless we invest in future proofing ourselves, we cannot assume that they will not come. Moment your market becomes lucrative, they will come. So what is?
I will give you twofold answers for this. One, in India we have more than 2,900 cities. Tier 1, 2, 3 सब गिनके. Ola, which has the highest presence. Uber की भी बात करें, Uber is 50% of Ola. Ola, which has the highest percent, is present in 196 cities. 1, 2. Yes, we are securing our future by the time that we had the regional language. This is a tenure for 5 years. What this means is that ये region में train के अंदर अगर Ola, Uber को भी marketing करना है और they want to sell their vehicle, they have to go out. That is what this entails. And yes, it is a competitive market. It's not something that is innovative. हमने कुछ अलग सोचा. We just found out an area where this is not happening, and we created a platform for it. There are many synergies, many things that we can add on to this, many collaborations that we can get on to this. We're not just एक ही medium पे साथ रहेंगे पैसेंजर है, लॉजिस्टिक्स, there are many divisions that can be unfolded. So that is
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your inspiring journey with us. Your insights have not only inspired but also have ignited a spark of innovation within each one of us. Thank you, ma'am, for gracing us with your presence today.
With immense pleasure and gratitude, I thank everyone for contributing to the success of today's event. Now, I request our Vice Chancellor sir, to kindly felicitate our guest with a token of appreciation. Mr. Soljan Mukherjee, the Director and Chief Executive Officer at ETV Rail. Logistics. Ms. Rashi Jain, the co-founder of Gati. Invaluable insights. I request all the institute dignitaries, faculties, and students to join us for lunch. We will resume after a short break. By 3:45, we will be here for the closing ceremony. Thank you.
बंद करना नहीं बताया भाई।
शुरू कर दो।
सब कुछ इधर से
ये सब होता है स्टार्टिंग में, हमको क्या पता।
सब कुछ इधर से कंट्रोल करो। क्या करूं? एंड स्ट्रीम, स्टॉप स्ट्रीमिंग, स्टॉप स्ट्रीमिंग करके भैया कर
बंद करना है।